this is Chris and this is Charlotte, and welcome to the. You should know that already. I mean, you're probably watching quite a lot of these in a minute.
Completely missed the. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're on the audio. Welcome to another live episode of the Kindness Project. Today is Wednesday, the 22nd.
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, Thursday, or Alan. I don't know. I've lost count.
I was sure it was Tuesday.
But we are joined. Oh, sorry, I am joined by a girl who's just learned about the genius of gladiators. It's Charlotte Dames,
and I'm joined by a man who seems to have a lot. I'm blank.
Oh, you've gone blank. So I'm gonna do our guest intro. I'm joined by a man who's definitely got the finest hair in the kindness community. It's David Jamili. How are you? How are you, David?
Yeah, thank you for the compliment. Yeah, but it is a bad hair day, in these times. I don't always make it perfect.
You know what? You're not alone. I mean, I'm using my first trip outside of lockdown is definitely going to be to my local Turkish barbers. And I'm going to treat myself to like the works. I'm having the shave. I'm having the flame in the ears. I'm having a proper haircut.
I think that hairdressers are going to be absolutely rammed the second lockdown eases a bit. So
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Have you thought of an intro yet?
No, I had an idea. I was going to mention retro TV, and then I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, your habits change when you're in lockdown a bit, David. So I introduced Charlotte on YouTube to the genius, which is 1990s TV, and in particular Gladiators. Do you remember Gladiators?
I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not saying it's great. It's not good, but it is quite cheesy, wasn't it? What Gladiators event? Unofficial question in the podcast. We'll get to the official question in the podcast in a minute. But what Gladiators event would you get involved with?
I wouldn't.
At all.
No.
At all.
David, maybe the obstacle course at the end, where I'm not going up against anyone actually physically trying to shove me over. But other than that,
you're running your own race there, aren't you?
Yeah,
You're running your own race. Yeah, no, I get that. I'd like to give a go of the old pugil sticks on the thing. They always look like quite good fun.
We got a morning dudes from Trev.
Morning, Trev. Thanks for tuning in again. Really appreciate it. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Chris. Hi, Russ. Hi, Andy. Hi, Kamal. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. What unofficial question of the podcast, David? What Gladiators minigame would you get involved with?
Do you know, the only one that sticks in my head is the one with the fusion sticks. But I mean, it's all got so far sophisticated. The game shows on TV now, really. I think that one was the first one that sort of kicked it all off from my recollection.
Yeah.
And it always just seemed like, to me, good, silly fun, if you like. It didn't seem
in any
way, horrible or intentionally nasty, or it just seemed like good, healthy fun.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. No, it was always. I think you always view these things through a bit of a nostalgic bubble. I mean, I remember where I am guilty of when my two are 16 and 8. So when the kids talk about kids TV, I always turn around and go, yeah, but I mean, it's not as good as it used to be. And then because of the benefits of YouTube, you can look back and remember, actually, it's not as good as I remember.
Kids TV is great nowadays. It touches on lots of emotional issues.
Yeah, they have. Absolutely. So, and that was the unofficial question of the podcast. What Gladiators game would you get involved with? The official one, and bear in mind that I only put this out on social media at about 6 o'clock this morning. We've had a massive response already. So it's obviously hit a nerve. What's your favourite? What's the world's greatest ice cream? What do you think, David? What's your favourite ice cream?
Wow, there's a ice cream. There's an Italian flavour which I can taste right now, but I can't remember the name of. I'm sure you'll know it, and it's sort of got little bits of cherry in it as well. And it's definitely available in Baskin Robbins, and it was at one time on all the shelves in all the supermarkets. Stracciatella.
Oh, Stracciatella! That sounds amazing.
Does that ring any bells? It's something like that.
You know what's you know what's really interesting? I think the Italians have got the monopoly on good ice cream. You know, I think the best ice cream I've ever had was in Florence. Do you remember we went into Cassie? What's that guy's name? Vitulio. Vitulio Bondi is one of the best ice cream makers in Florence, and we wandered into his shop. And it was a weird one because he does this really good thing to market his business where if somebody wanders into his shop, he'll do a selfie and then put it on his Facebook page. And effectively, his Facebook page is full of people smiling with his ice cream and sharing these selfies. It's a really amazing thing. And I wrote an article on it because I thought it was a really good thing to do to market a business.
Well,
So
when I was in Italy last time, which was probably about a year ago, there were shops which were the old style of ice cream shop with all these mounds of ice cream everywhere and looking absolutely beautiful. And they were purely vegan.
Ah, interesting. That's a really big trend at the minute. And
quite frankly, the taste was, I'm going to say the same. It was still lovely.
Yeah, not a million miles away.
Those are great ice cream. I agree with that.
Yeah, great. So a couple of years later, do you remember this?
Yes.
Vitulio sends me a message saying, we're actually in London for a gelato festival. Would you like to come along? And we'll give you some free tickets for you and the family. And literally, I don't think I've ever eaten as much ice cream in a 2-hour session as I ever have. So it was really good fun. A couple of other things I want to talk about. So, out of interest, morning Desmond, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Out of interest, what nostalgic TV? Because Gladiators you weren't overly impressed with, were you? What nostalgic TV do you like?
What nostalgic TV? Fraggle Rock's always good.
Fraggle Rock.
What's the one? Trapdoor.
Trapdoor's good. All good stuff. What TV is happening now that me and David need to get into? Like, what's the big TV show that?
What, like kids or?
Whatever.
I don't know. I don't think you'd enjoy any of the shows that.
Oh, you watch at the minute?
Yeah.
Maybe not. And what's your favourite ice cream flavour?
Salted caramel.
Fine choice. Amazing choice. So I want to talk before we come to your interview, David, which I'm really looking forward to. I just want to share some stories that have sort of popped up, and part of what we do is share stories that illustrate positivity and kindness in the world. And you've probably heard about this story, but because it's been quite a lot. But I want to talk about Ken Benbow. Do you want to read the story, Charlotte?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A war veteran broke down in tears when a young carer gave him a cushion with a picture of his late wife on. Ken Benbow, who was married for 71 years, slept with a photograph of Ada by his bed at his Preston care home. Carer Kia Tobin, 17, knew how much he missed her and wanted to give him a special gift to bring them closer. So she had the cushion printed. So
the cushion was printed with his wife's face on. Yeah.
Mr. Benbow, 94, said, "It broke my heart when she left me, but now I've got her every night in my arms." He moved into Thistleton Lodge care home after Ada died, aged 93, in August.
Ada was the most wonderful, caring wife, he told BBC Breakfast. When I got the cushion, it was the most precious thing I could have wished for. We were married for 71 years, and it broke my heart when she left me. But now I've got her every night in my arms. So just that simple thing. And you know what? It was weird because before I started working this morning, there was an interview with Kia's nan and granddad, and Kia had said to them, "It's only a cushion, but it just meant so much to." Did you hear about that story, David?
No, I didn't. I heard the first one you told me about the pillow. That was beautiful to me.
Yeah. So I think like just that element of just doing something simple to bring people close together was really important. Also, I want to mention a friend of the show, Mr. Andy Fano. He's been on as a guest on the live and on the audio podcast, and he does amazing work over at St Francis Hospice. And certainly they're going through a tough time at the minute funding wise, because all
Yes.
the events, I was meant to run the marathon for them this year, and all the other events they use to fundraise are currently off. So Andy, we're trying to help as much as we can, but also Andy is doing what he can to raise money. So he's got a fundraiser on Saturday night, and I know a lot of our listeners love St Francis Hospice, and I know they've had direct care in terms of where they are. So he's doing a sweet soul music party on Saturday night. We're going to be getting involved.
Yes.
He's going to be doing it on his Facebook page. He's going to be raising money for the charity. Please, we'll put all the links in the show notes for Andy. Please, if you're free on a Saturday night and you love some good music, feel free to join Andy and raise some money for an amazing cause. So thanks for continuing to do what you do, Andy. And before we come to David, one thing we want to do, we've got another David who helps us out every single day. It's Mr. David Forsdyke, and David, he's just to give you an idea of what Dave Forsdyke does. Here every day he started sharing some silver linings. So actually looking at the positive side of this current situation and what we might have learned in this period. And I don't know about you, and we've talked about it on the lives before. I've been more. I've been seeing more acts of people being awesome to each other during this current time. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's bringing out the best. It's bringing out the right side of people, for sure.
Yeah.
And the big question is, how can we
Sustain
carry it forward
Yeah.
into the new reality when it all starts kicking in? And how can we make it a part of our day-to-day lives then as it is now?
100%.
That's something that we can all work on together, I think.
Yeah, I mean that just that sustained focus on being good to each other over and above when this finishes is super important. I absolutely agree. So let me just share, because Dave's kind enough to send these in literally every day. Let me just share them with you. And what he's done today is focus on the positive news around the virus, because it is stressful, it is a tough time, but there's also some bright sides. And Dave mentions that 500,000 people have now recovered from COVID-19, and nearly a quarter of all people who have been confirmed as having coronavirus have recovered. We're benefiting from cleaner air because we're using less fossil fuels. And we've all become more caring. So over 200 groups have been established across the UK to help people impacted by COVID-19 or who are self-isolating in a bid to avoid the virus. We've mentioned the local community groups that are popping up everywhere. So yeah, that's amazing stuff. And they're coordinating via WhatsApp and social media. But also they're being coordinated nationally. So if you're in an area that hasn't got a local support group that's supporting local people, you can get support to set one up by visiting www.covidmutualaid.org. And if there isn't a group in your local area, set one up. Really easy to jump on Facebook and set up one in your local community that is designed to help and support people. Really easy to do. And I know in our area there's quite a lot. So that's all our news shared. I want to get on to talking to David, and our first question is, tell us about you.
I never know what to say when people ask me that question. So we're talking about kindness. So I've been working in the kindness field for 14 years now.
Okay.
And things have changed very, very dramatically. You've just mentioned some fantastic examples, like the mutual aid movement at the moment. And you've also mentioned about the man, the lovely pillow, and mentioned about care for the environment. And lots of these things are really exciting, brand new things. And they all, to me, fall under the umbrella of kindness. And it's been very exciting for me to hear in the recent weeks, even though this isn't the time to feel excited, but to hear ministers using the word kindness in many of their broadcasts and many of their communications.
I don't think, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard a Chancellor of the Exchequer talk about kindness before. And actually, he won himself a lot of fans who might not agree with his particular political opinion by making this situation a bit more human. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it suddenly button has sort of flicked on in terms of government of the world, in sort of the big picture, that there needs to be a human connection as opposed to a wall between how the controlling governments of the world and us people are related to and involved with.
Yeah.
And this is really new, because I remember going to some conferences maybe 8 or 9 years ago in Sweden, where there were lots of government ministers and workers from around the world, and they were talking about global problems, and I was talking about kindness, and everybody thought it was a little bit weird that I was allowed to be involved in something like that. But by the end of the conference, they were using the word kindness.
Yeah.
And the second somebody spins out a word, whatever it is, negative or positive, out into the great energetic field of action, things start happening around it. So it's fantastic that ministers are now embracing positive values as part of their vocabulary, in particular kindness.
100%. I think there's a miscomprehension about kindness, and this is one we've learned throughout the time that we've been doing the podcast and trying to be kinder people. I think people assume that kindness is about, like, is this vague thing that sits in the atmosphere, when actually it's quite practical, isn't it? You can take practical action to be kinder. And I think that's what people are understanding now, particularly with volunteering being on the up and things like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the example of the pillow, with the picture of the man's wife on, I thought was a really lovely one, because that's sort of going level 2, because the lovely carer who made that happen, however she made it happen, photographed, printed on, I don't know how those things happen, but she customized the kindness to the recipient.
Yeah, it's personal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very, I call that sort of level 2. So when I go to the supermarket and I deliberately let people through in front of me, or whatever, I'm just doing that on a random basis. And this example is an example of a very specific basis. And well, you could see the emotion involved on news today through that specific act of kindness. And I think that stage 1 is building in kind procedures, kind habits into your life. And many people are doing that right now, and that's fantastic. Level 2 is to think it through and think what specifically for the specific target.
Yeah.
Target is the wrong word to use. For the particular recipient, what would be right for them?
What would mean the most to them? It's like an intentional act of kindness that's specific. Yeah, I 100% agree. Talk to me a little bit about Kindness UK.
So we've been running in one form or another for 14 years, and it started out very much in alignment with the sort of concepts you've got. which are to bring some positive news to help to balance out all the negative news that we tend to be surrounded by and tend to be fed. I mean, it is human nature that people are looking for negative news because that relates back to survival instincts.
Yeah.
And if nobody's, looking out for what danger could be coming along or is around, then survival is jeopardized. So it genetically, we are looking for
threats, right? Yeah.
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 But the compensating with that, the other side of our genetic makeup is the lovely, positive connectivity, community care, wanting to be kind, wanting to support, wanting to share.
Yeah.
So in the human framework, there is this unique, and in a very fast-paced society, the positives, the kind side, tends to get left behind a bit.
Yeah.
And the other side comes to the front. When it's all slowed down a little bit, like it has now, then the positive side has more of a chance to come back and even out the balance.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I think, if we've got a bit more time, we've got a bit more time to focus. Certainly, I know that when I'm sort of doing the day job and speaking to some of our clients, this opportunity to just take a breather has changed their perspective on a lot of stuff. And one of those things is, and I suppose the other thing as well is the fact that if you can't see the people you love the most, it makes you grateful and realise how important those connections are, right?
Yeah, certainly. So, and also when people are hurting. So if you've got a toothache, all you can think about is your toothache.
Yeah.
You'll be pretty good, to be able to think about anything else apart from your toothache. If when you've got your toothache, you have programmed yourself, you've made kindness part of your way of living, part of your way of being, part of your habit, you will still be doing bits of kindness.
Yeah.
Through your toothache.
Yeah.
If you haven't programmed yourself to bring kindness to the surface as much as possible, then all you will be thinking about is your toothache.
Yeah.
What a weird analogy. Sorry.
Charlotte's got a question.
Oh, so can you tell us a little bit about the research you've done around kindness?
Yeah. The world that we live in doesn't respect and accept fluffy concepts as much as it does scientific fact. So going back many years, kindness, when I said that word to somebody, was taken as a very nice, very fluffy, very ethereal, just let it pass by, don't place any thought onto it, sort of concept. Everything in our current world needs scientific backup.
Yeah.
That's the way the world is developed at the moment. It's not my ideal world, but that's just the way it is. So, for example, on the ministerial broadcasts, a key feature is the scientific data, the graphs.
Yeah.
The graphs. So I realised a few years ago that the way to put kindness on the map was to present it in that same way with a scientifically backed evidential status. And the most important development and most exciting development on that front is that I've been working with Sussex University, which is a huge university, world-renowned university, and they have set up a kindness research centre.
Okay.
with a view to providing the sort of data which makes scientifically based minds able to present kindness in the same way as any other subject academically.
Yep. Yeah. And there is research that's both recent and historic that being kind is good for you, isn't it? You know, being kind can be quite selfish because it helps not only you but other people.
There's no there's no question about it.
Yeah.
And that's been proven to me over my fairly long time, I would say, in working dedicatedly in the field of kindness.
Yeah.
And there are some things in life which you can explain and some things in life which you can't explain. And there isn't currently strong evidential data supporting what you, Chris, and I know for a fact, which is that if you are kind, you will be healthier, you will live longer, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
The conclusions I've drawn are that it's a fact of nature. The more you give, the more you get. The more you put out, the longer you last.
Yeah.
Any gardener will understand that. Anybody who has animals will understand that. So when you are being kind and you are giving out, you are being of use to the universe and to the growth of humanity, society, everybody around you.
Yeah. When
you're not doing that, you're not so much use.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because even though from an evolutionary perspective, we are look for the threats, we've actually evolved beyond that to have to, as a society, collaborate. Right, we've been doing that for thousands of years, but our internal evolution hasn't caught up yet.
Yeah, that's certainly one way of bringing it. And what's going on right now is a fantastic opportunity for global cooperation.
Yeah.
And the re-emergence of values as at least as important part of our lives as our work lives.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Right now it's in balance the other way. Our work lives, our professional lives, our needs to succeed greatly imbalance the value side of things.
Yeah.
And maybe, with a little bit of jogging from people like you, Chris, and one great jogging from me, that can be balanced out to a more natural and a more perfect level. But
the interesting thing, David, is I think that like value, and again we'll talk about business in a minute, because I know you've been in business for a long time as well, but the values, for me, the values that drive me as an individual also drive my business, and I see no conflict with that at all.
No, I think that the general public has a distorted opinion of business and commerce.
Yeah.
I don't see business and commerce, number one, as anything other than human endeavour.
Yeah.
So when you are doing human endeavour, you can do it from a values-based system.
Yeah.
Or you can do it from a greed system.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why a business or a business person or a commercial enterprise can't be spinning back as much positivity as an individual.
100%. 100%. Talk to me a little bit about because I was doing the research. I know we've spoken before on the podcast, and thank you for coming back and joining us on this live version. We should have given you more notice about the video. Apologies for that, because
I would have my hair, Chris. Chris.
To be honest, David, there's nothing I can do about my hair anymore. You know, like it just literally, it's like it grows in the wrong places. So I'm just trying to do what I can with it. Talk to me a little bit about Kin's Charter and what that is.
Well, Kin's Charter was one of the many projects that I've initiated with a view to helping businesses to look at their value system as well as their general operation.
Okay.
So there have been lots of things over the years, like the CSR policies that larger companies will have, like triple base accounting. Triple base accounting is where you measure the effect of your value system in numbers. And Kin's Charter was something I thought up which was more suited to small businesses really, and to people who wanted to have just a CSR policy or a way of evaluating their value system. Quite frankly, it hasn't worked. I've had hardly any take up on that, but I still like the principle, and I still think that businesses are in a terrific place to have a choice about how they spin out the kindness for the benefit of others and society. So what I mean by that is that businesses have the opportunity to make profits which they can redistribute in ways which will support kindly humanity.
Yeah.
And there are many ways of so Robin Hood always comes to my head when I'm thinking about this. And say Robin Hood robbed the rich. I don't mean rob him, by the way, but just as an analogy, robbed the rich to give to the poor. So he was taking money from people who had money and giving it to the people who didn't have so much money. Now, kindness doesn't always involve money, but the principle of distributing a business being able to distribute kindness because they operate on a larger scale, to me is a very exciting one. Me as an individual, I will have a lot less opportunity, a lot less flow coming through me to be able to distribute. But as a business,
you've got more of a chance, haven't you?
A lot more coming through me that I can spin around. And
there's plenty of examples of amazing companies doing that. I mean, the one that springs to mind, and the name has passed me by just this second. There's the shoe business that for every pair of shoes they sell, gives away a pair to somebody who really needs it, and stuff like that is just revolutionary in terms of what it can do to help people who need it.
Yeah, I think the big stumbling block is the word, like the way that people think that business and commerce is actually something, totally alien and apart.
Yeah.
Because on the level of just being a catalyst for flow.
Yeah.
So being a catalyst for being able to do kind things, I think that is a great medium and a great,
it's a good vehicle, isn't it?
A lot of companies are waking up to this.
Yeah, 100%. Charlotte, did you have a question?
So can you tell us a bit about the work you do with schools?
Yeah. Going back about 8 or 10 years as well, I analysed that a most effective long-term way of helping people bring kindness to the surface would be to make it part of a school program, school curriculum.
Yeah.
And I wrote a primary and a secondary school pack. I've now moved on to universities, as you gather, but which is a guidance pack for teachers. A very, very easy to follow pack. It's got kindness examples that can be used in any subject on the curriculum. It can be photocopy the page and just drop it into a lesson. You can use it in assembly. And at that time, it was innovatory. There are quite a few people doing similar things now, which is great. And 40,000 copies have gone out, and every single school in the UK, secondary and primary, has had copies, and many continue to use it. I get many requests from all around the world, actually. I just, in the last week, we accredited our first kind school in which country? Poland.
Okay.
And we've done accreditation in Czechoslovakia this year as well.
Yeah.
And our accreditation is an acknowledgement of the kindness initiatives and programs which the school has undertaken.
Yeah.
And we ask them to tell us about the program. We don't put a huge admin burden on schools because schools are already completely top heavy over admin burden.
Yeah.
So we make it really as light as possible. And we think and hope that encourages them to continue and to perpetuate their kindness initiatives.
And talk to me about what the future holds for Kindness UK and you personally. Sorry, I'm going to get to that question, but there's a burning question that's on the top of my head that I want to ask first. How did you get into this? What started your journey with kindness? Because I know for me it was about being a good role model for my daughters. How did it start for you?
Well, it really was watching the news and just thinking, this is ridiculous. All we're hearing is all the negatives. And at that time, the internet was just like, it wasn't as it is now.
Yeah.
It was sort of much more developmental stage. And I thought, quite naively, really, I thought, well, the internet would be a great way of pushing out positive news. And so I started a website called the Good Deeds Organisation, and I invited people to write in from around the world, which they did, with their examples of good deeds.
Amazing.
I don't use that word anymore. I only use the word kindness. It was quite funny, actually, because good deeds, the only competition that there ever was on Google for Good Deeds Organisation was lawyers who were offering to do deeds for property, like conveyancing.
Right.
That was quite fun.
So it caused a bit of confusion, did it?
But through that, I came across the fact that there were other people out there working on kindness programs around the world. And I thought, well, actually, that's probably a lot more effective for me to do that than just to gather in the news. Other people were starting to gather in the news at that time as well. So I moved on to working purely in the field of kindness.
And because Charlotte's the organised one that just doesn't ask random questions off the top of their head, do you want to get us back on track?
Yeah,
Charlotte?
so the question you were going to ask, and that is on the list of questions you were supposed to ask.
That's why you're here, just to make sure this is organised.
Okay, so what does the future hold for Kindness UK?
Well, I don't know about for Kindness UK, but I do know for kindness. And I am absolutely certain that the Kindness Research Centre at Sussex University is the first of many around the world. I am absolutely certain that there will be ministers increasingly appointed around the world with the brief of looking at kindness and values. And I am absolutely certain that kindness will play a greater and greater part in our day-to-day lives. Because how else can we face the future? What other tool have we got to face the future scenarios that, well, one is now happening, or the future scenarios to come? Kindness is the most rooted, it is the most fundamental, it is the most human, it is the most, and to me, important value to have.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at the leaders that have political leaders and leaders of countries that have excelled in this really bizarre world. The one that I always talk about, we've talked about on the lives. I know you're going to roll your eyes, but I'm going to mention her again. Is Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand, because she seemed to typify a way of really direct communication. She doesn't hide the fact that this is a really tough situation, but also with a compassion that other leaders could really learn from potentially.
Yeah, that's a fabulous observation. And you know, there are many leaders now globally that use the word kindness, and well, there are lots of celebrities that do now as well. But the more people use that word, the kind of the world will definitely be.
100%. Where can our viewers and listeners find out a little bit more about the work you do?
kindnessuk.com.
Amazing.
Kindness UK is all one word.
And we'll put a link to the show notes. There's loads of amazing resources. David's told us just before the interview that he's going to put a link to the Kindness Project on his website. So thank you for doing that. We really appreciate.
Thank you, Chris, for all the work you're doing in kindness.
We absolutely love it. We genuinely do. So let me share with you some of the answers we've been getting off our question of the podcast. And again, it's been quite a popular one today. So again, we can, as we're going through these, we can just comment on people's choices and take a look at what we think. Let me just move that window to my second screen to make it a bit easier. So first answer straight off the bat was
give me that.
First answer straight off the bat was Lindsay Thompson, who said this is easy. The answer is clearly rum and raisin. Not a bad choice. Simon Burke agreed, rum and raisin. I said, I'm not keen on rum and raisin. I'm not a great fan.
There you go.
Simon Burke said rum and raisin, but it does divide opinion. But I'm going to have to go with a good quality vanilla.
Yeah.
Mark O'Halloran said cinnamon. See, I like cinnamon. Cinnamon, banana, and cinnamon porridge is probably one of my favourite breakfasts. Jonathan Gaffney's raised the game. Not just cinnamon swirl. What are we thinking of cinnamon as an idea for ice cream, David?
It sounds delicious. I like your porridge idea as well.
Oh, lovely. Honey, cinnamon, banana. Amazing. It's the way it should be done. Desmond Barker said rum and raisin. Now, Desmond, I know you're a fan of the show, but never mention rum and raisin again. All right? You're banned now. You can't watch the Kindness Project anymore. Dave, thank you. I really appreciate it. You know, I think rum and raisin might be the Marmite of ice creams. You know, it's like love it or hate it. Katie Bragoli said rum and raisin. Steve Dan's gone for an old school one, lemon ice. Have you ever had a lemon ice cream?
Nope.
Have you, David? Do you remember lemon ice?
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh yeah.
I'm still struggling on the one that I was going to Google it. Italian ice cream with all the little bits in it, like cherry and all that. Maybe one of your listeners knows.
Well, maybe if we know the Italian ice cream with cherry in it, let us know. Maybe our research team over in the corner can have a look. My wife is now googling what that is, so hopefully we should have an answer soon. Caroline Thompson's gone butterscotch. Now, butterscotch. Are you googling it as well?
Oh, yeah,
There's no need for you to Google it while you're doing a live podcast, though, is there?
Amarena.
Amarena. Does that ring a bell? Yeah. Now, butterscotch. What do you think of butterscotch as an idea?
Never had it.
Never had it.
Yep.
Butterscotch Angel Delight is one of my guilty pleasures, though, I've got to say. Lucy Patrick, who's been a guest on the show, talking about her amazing charity work, and she's been controversial. She doesn't like ice cream.
To each their own. I know people who don't like chocolate.
No, it's not. Louise McNamee said chocolate chip and Murkoffs. Now, that's a bit of an inside joke because there was a ice cream shop in East London in Canning Town where Lou and I were originally from, run by this, funny enough, Italian family, and it was the best ice cream ever. But again, I can't get the recipe now, so I can't taste it and decide whether it was just nostalgia thinking that or whether Murkoff's was actually amazing. But we'll go for it being amazing. Hazel Gray said coffee. Pedro Floyd said vanilla. Hayley Ball said mint chocolate chip. Kelly is with Steve, lemon ice. Gavin said vanilla until salted caramel came along.
See?
So salted caramel's there. Trevor Robinson's gone for coconut almond chip. All the dudes like that. You know, let's be fair.
Do they?
Michael,
Why?
Michael said vanilla. Tracy said banana. I don't think there might be meant to be banana. But you've just invented a new flavour, Tracy. Well done, bandana. And Rob Bishop's gone for mascarpone, cheese and ginger, only available from Roskilly's Farm in Cornwall. Oh,
Do you remember that ice cream shop in Hay? And they had, what was it, the goat's milk ice cream or something?
Have you ever been to Hay Literary Festival, David?
No, I haven't. I'd love to go one day. Have you been there?
Yeah,
Yes.
we went a couple of years ago. So it was really good fun. I mean, my memories from that are the amazing ice cream. Hearing like Benjamin Zephaniah was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yes.
We went to see Russell Kane the stand up.
Oh.
But I think the one that I remember the most was going to see a band
Yeah.
that was what are they called?
Josephine and the Artisans.
Josephine and the Artisans that combined opera with rap. They were amazing. They were really, really good. So if you ever get the chance to go, give it a go.
Yeah.
What's the unofficial question of the podcast and one we might use in the future? What's the best festival you've been to?
The best festival, Burning Man.
Was it good?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that must have been the experience, right?
Do you know Burning Man? Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the desert, isn't it? Is it outside California?
It's in Nevada. So it's in a dried up lake bed, which is vast, and it's a very, very fine grey dust which covers the whole lake bed. And from the minute you're there, you are covered in grey dust.
Right.
I'm exaggerating not. And you sort of, yeah. And they set up a city there, which is 50,000 people. I think it's grown now.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that. Which is a totally sustainable city of tents and pop-up structures and unusual stuff. And one of the main principles there is leave no trace. So every single thing which anybody takes to the festival leaves, and the lake bed is pristine.
Yeah.
At the end of it, even though they do crazy stuff like burning, huge
Effigies.
down,
Yeah.
having all sorts of like vehicles, doing crazy stunts at night. Every single ember from the burnings is into a tray and it's taken away. And the principles of Burning Man Festival are principles which I've always thought very, very good for the planet, that we should leave no trace.
Yeah.
We leave no carbon footprint. We should take responsibility for everything we do. We
Yeah.
can play, but we can't harm the planet.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What made it so special? I mean, the values are really important, but what was the experience like? Because it is legendary, isn't it, Burning Man?
Yeah, it's creativity.
Yeah.
It's a place where every single year, it's totally brand new concepts. It's totally new creativity, totally new art.
Yeah.
And it's not art on the scale of a postage stamp. It's art on the scale of a 10-story building.
Yeah, there's massive sculptures,
not just
isn't
one
there?
of them, but 300 of them.
Yeah,
the epic scale of it is impossible to describe.
It's certainly one on my list, and if you get the chance, and I don't know whether it's still on there, I might have watched it, I know, 18 months, 2 years ago. There's a documentary on Netflix about Burning Man.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there is. It's really, really good. And I can't remember for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it, but it really, and what it does is it tracks the lives of the artists who designed for Burning Man, like a year before it happens, all the way through to the actual experience. And I mean, it's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. It's really, really interesting. Back to more.
If you look at YouTube, there are lots of videos of different years of Burning Man, and when I look at those, or have looked in the past, they never ever show the epic scale. It is just so you are so in it. You are not a spectator. You are part of it.
Yeah, and everybody who attends is part of the art, aren't they? Really? Yeah. Back to more grounded stuff. I mean, but Burning Man I'm adding to the list, by the way. But the Phantom Ice Cream, IFA Jobs UK on Twitter said rum and raisin. Tony Slimmins thinks that salted caramel is the best. Rachel Vahey's thrown in a bit of a curveball. Jaffa cake.
Don't talk about Jaffa cakes on this show. It's very controversial.
Yeah, we had, I think, one of our most controversial episodes was when we had a debate about whether Jaffa cake was a cake or a biscuit. Now, again, it's one of those Marmite questions. It's one of those.
You either think it's a cake or a biscuit.
But David, is Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit?
It's delicious.
Very, very diplomatic. I like that. That's really good. The favourite answer I've got, because Andrew's really thought about this and given it some context. His favourite ice cream, pistachio, in an Italian piazza at sunset. I don't think we're going to beat that. And on that note, okay, we've got one. That's all our answers, but we've got one particular part that Charlotte's really enjoying at the minute. What we're doing at the end of every podcast is just a tiny little joke to brighten up your day. If Charlotte picked the right jokes, which typically she doesn't. So let's see how bad this one is. Are you ready, David, for the joke of the day?
Yeah. I'm enjoying myself. I'm sure I'll be laughing in a minute as well.
Probably not.
Don't bank on it. Let's see what the joke is.
Okay. What's an astronaut's favourite form of social media? You try?
Don't know.
MySpace.
And on that note, I did laugh, but it was a gut reaction. No, don't look. You know what? Right, look, don't go to David laughing to validate that joke. It was all right. I mean, it wasn't one of your worst
I was trying
ones.
to put the outro.
It was one of the worst ones. But on that note, have a lovely Wednesday. Thank you to Charlotte for that joke, and David for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Charlotte. Bye, Chris.
Bye.